In Elbagon, a place where life has always moved slowly, where neighbors know each other by name and where an elderly couple had built their lives for more than 7 decades. Pius Machogu, 72 years old, and his wife Jerusha Kwamboka, 70 years old. To the community, they were more than just residents. They were a beacon of stability, devout members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, people of peace whose laughter and warm greetings had become part of Elbagon's rhythm. But on one Saturday evening, that rhythm broke. That evening, after attending church, the couple returned to their home. Nothing seemed unusual, but as night fell and the hours passed, something felt wrong. Their phones went silent. Calls from their children went unanswered. Friends from church who tried to check on them got no reply. The iron gate to their compound was locked, an unusual thing for a family always open to visitors. And standing at the gate, telling anyone who asked that Mzee and Mama were asleep, was a young man, their farmhand. He was new to the home, barely 2 months into his employment. He had already blended into the couple's daily routines. He tilled their land, cared for their animals, fetched supplies. On the surface, he was another young man from the village, earning a living the only way he knew how. But that night, his words sounded strange. His calmness, even as family members grew anxious, unsettled the neighbors. How could an elderly couple suddenly go to bed so early? Why weren't they answering calls? The suspicion grew. By Sunday morning, the silence in the compound was unbearable. Children, neighbors, and the church members gathered outside. They knocked, they shouted, but there was no answer. Finally, the decision was made. The gate would have to be forced open. When the crowd entered, they combed through the home, calling out the couple's names. The air was heavy with fear. And then, in the corner of the compound, by the well, a padlock. It was unusual. That well had been used for years, open to the family, but now its mouth was sealed shut. When police arrived and forced it open, the truth emerged. Inside the dark, cold water lay the bodies of Pius and Jerusha, the beloved couple who had gone missing. They had been killed and dumped into the very well that had served their household for years. The farmhand, confronted by police, could no longer keep the secret. He confessed. He admitted to killing the couple and disposing of their bodies in the well. Why? The motive remains murky. Some suggest it was greed. Others believe there may have been conflict. But in that moment, what mattered most to the grieving community was not why, but how something so brutal could happen within their midst. The same hands that tilled their land had taken their lives. Shock spread across Elbagon. Families locked their gates. Farmers began to wonder, who can we trust anymore? Neighbors spoke of how Pius and Jerusha were always available for prayers, for advice, and for fellowship. The thought that their lives had ended in such cruelty was unbearable. Their bodies were taken to Elbagon Sub-County Hospital mortuary, while the farmhand was escorted away by police. But even as justice began, the pain remained. Imagine their children dialing their parents' phone number on Saturday night, expecting to hear their voice, only to find those calls ringing to silence. Imagine the neighbors who only hours earlier had shared greetings at church, now standing at the well watching police retrieve lifeless bodies. Imagine the congregation gathering the next Sabbath, staring at 2 empty seats where the couple once sat side by side. The grief is not just personal, it is communal. This tragedy is not the first of its kind in Kenya, and sadly, it may not be the last. Across villages and towns, trust between families and their workers is delicate. Many homes open gates to strangers in hope of help, only to face betrayal. But the story of Pius and Jerusha is more than a crime story. It is a reminder of human fragility. It's about the trust we place in others, the risks we take when we choose faith over fear, and the devastation when that trust is shattered. As Elbagon mourns, one truth remains. Pius Machogu and Jerusha Kwamboka were more than victims. They were parents, neighbors, believers, part of the fabric of a community now torn apart. And while the wheels of justice will turn for their killer, the deeper wound is one that no courtroom can heal. Their story will be told for years, not just as a tragedy, but as a warning, and as a call for vigilance in a world where evil sometimes hides behind the most familiar of faces.